Hey fellow zombie slayers, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Rad's Guide to Project Zomboid, Episode 9, Power Leveling. Another thing I could do, or should do, is let's program the radio. So hitting V as in Victor opens up the radio, or the vehicle submenu, and in channels I can add a preset. Because this is a radio van, I have like a huge frequency rate slider. Normally it only goes up to like 108, 109. And tune in. The way that the so this is like a two-way radio that's built. It's a ham radio built into the car, which is kind of nuts. At the top of every hour, you get like a emergency broadcast frequency, which tells you what's going on, which is very handy. So here it is. The temperature, humidity. It's clear skies, somewhat cloudy. In the evening, expecting light to moderate rain. That can be pretty useful if I am trying to fill up water containers, and I can talk about that in a little bit. Showers and heavy rain. So there's a lot of rain coming. And then the end of the broadcast. Let's go ahead and turn off that radio. Alright, time to sort through the books. So the current priority right now is level up carpentry to level 2. The reason for that is it will dramatically increase my security, and then also possibly it will give me the chance to get, like, a better bed. But it will increase my security because I'll be able to remove access to the second floor so that the second floor will be secured. And then I can start to barricade up windows and everything so that zombies can't get inside as easily. I'm also bringing the ham radio with me upstairs because I just physically prefer it over the little ones. Just a preference. Device options. Turn it on. Lower the volume. And then add yet another preset. Oops, wrong channel. 103. Now we've already listened to that for the day. I'll leave it running again just so that you can see it. So definitely grab some duplicate magazines. Because I hadn't read them, I didn't know that they were duplicates necessarily. And I ought to go through all the magazines I currently have and read them so that I know not to pick up even more copies of them. So I'm going to keep Carpentry Volume 1 and Volume 2 on me. I know you asked before, it was asked in the last stream, can you read out of order? And no, skill level is too low to read. You need to meet the minimum So the idea here is to go from 0 to 2, having read volume 1, and then at level 2, we can read volume 2 to go from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10 in that progression. So I'm just sorting through all of my inventory, putting everything away before I start reading. What would I like to eat? Let's start eating foods that are likely going to go bad sooner, like the produce that is a little bit more sensitive to spoiling. Everything that I want to eventually disable or dismantle in electrical will go there as well. These magazines, if I'm not mistaken, are duplicates. So before I start reading the Carpenter book, which will take a while, I am going to read the magazines so I can avoid duplicates. So that does not take very long. My inventory has been all tidied up. Perfect. And I'm using F6 to fast forward time until it's done. Because I'm in a safe environment, I don't really have to worry about zombies jumping me. This ham radio is not plugged in. You can't be plugged in, so I need to turn it off to preserve battery power. Or don't need to, but I should. Okay, those are the new magazines. And if I go over to the trash can, all the magazines in the trash can that I am poised to throw out should... Oh no, actually, I did it wrong. One of these I need to keep. And that's why I didn't junk it. Because I hadn't actually read this, so it was not a duplicate that was in storage. Oh, no, it was a duplicate. Right, let me expand this so I don't screw it up. Making sure that everything is already read. Okay. Yep. They're read. I can also double check the books that I have. So like, for instance, I can go over to, if I move this temporarily here, I can open up my tracker and compare what I say I have versus what I have in reality. So the 2 Carpenter books are in my inventory. I have Cooking 1 and 2. I have Electrical 1, 2, 4, and 5. That's true. I have Farming. So I have Farming 1, 2, and 5. I marked that down. I have First Aids 1, 2, and 3. Have that down. Fishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got that marked down. Foraging, missing 4. That is correct. Mechanics, all of them. That is also correct. Metalwork 1, 3, and 5. Correct. Tailoring, missing volume 4, that is correct, and trapping, missing volume 5, that is correct. So I had not made any mistakes when marking down my loot, which is honestly surprising, because streaming and reading and marking things down all at the same time is a little bit of it's distracting, diverting attention and all. Well, yep, that's a pretty good checklist. And it's also worth mentioning, the checklist that I have, you can download on my Discord. It's a PDF document that you can use for yourself if you need something like that. Make a cheese sandwich. I'm going to make 3 cheese sandwiches. Do I have mayo? I think it's a little bit too late, huh? All right, eating cheese sandwich. So I use the butcher knife that is stored on the stove to cut the cheese. I cut the cheese. Yep. So you can do cooking. And I'll do a more in-depth like review of cooking eventually. Now that all of that is out of the way, it's only 9 p.m., but I'm like tired. Also, my weight is dropping, so let's polish off that cheese sandwich with a big old thing of ice cream. We are going to read. There's actually a little bit of a trick to reading. If you read outdoors, it causes less boredom. And I suppose before we even start reading, I'm going to rifle through the grocery store here to see if there's any containers I can put out to collect rainwater. Because we know rain is coming. Technically, I could collect them in mugs. It's just, I'd rather put it out like larger items like buckets and paint cans rather than individual mugs. I could put out the cooking pot that I have. And I think I have a saucepan as well. Those have a slightly higher volume. So the current priority is not true. It's actually to try to figure out our water shortage. But I want to update it because this won't take me very long. I don't think there would be any like high volume water containers. It's raining. I see the rain. Also coffee. Yes, always coffee. And I'll just eat this taco shell because it's going to spoil. So I think what I'll do is I'll grab my soup pot and just stick the soup pot outside. Because I have so much fresh produce that I don't necessarily need to, cook with, I can use the soup pot for water collection. And you may have noticed I'm collecting all the coffee on the shelves, because coffee is a lifesaver. If you're trying to fight and you're drowsy or whatever, you might be dead. Okay, so all of the meat section here, I definitely, except for the salami, I'll eat the salami. Definitely rotted, and there is a use for rotted food, so that doesn't necessarily mean I need to throw it out. You can compost it for farming, which I'll get into once I start farming. I'm just going to double check these here. And that's also true of like the sack of potatoes and or whatever that was, the sack of cabbage. Strawberries, etc. One of these coffee bags is going to go into the glove box for emergencies. And I am going to move the water cooler upstairs. I've pretty much gone through the entire grocery store now. And there really weren't any other water containers, save for some coffee mugs, which aren't high volume enough for me to bother with. You cannot use trash cans to collect water. So in the game, containers are either for liquids or solids. There are no gases. There's no vapors or anything like that. So if it's a container that stores solids, it will never be able to store liquids and vice versa. That's the way they're coded. So with this cooking pot, even mousing over it, it says can be used to collect rainwater when placed outside. So I can drop the cooking pot outdoors and will start to collect water over time as it rains, and then I can boil that water to make it safe for me to drink. And the idea is to collect as much water as I can to fill up this water cooler so that I will pull water from the water cooler like this, and then boil water that I collect from rainwater to replace the water that I have pulled out. I can also get hydration from eating things like grapefruit or watermelon. There's a lot of fruits that will give you a whole lot of hydration as well. And I was originally going to read outdoors because it makes you less bored, but now that it is raining, I don't want to sit in the rain outdoors with a book, as I could get sick that way. I'm just double checking to make sure that there's no other water collection sources yet. No, there is not. Well, it's pretty late in the day, so I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot of this carpentry book read tonight. We can read a little bit of it before hitting the sack. And your progress for reading books, unlike a magazine, so like skill magazines, to teach you how to, like, let's say, make pie dough, if you interrupt the process, you lose the value of reading it, and you have to start over again. Granted, it only takes, like, in-game, like, a few minutes to do. A book has a certain number of pages, depending on the skill level. So the Volume 1 book has 220 pages. The Volume 2 book has 260, and as you go up in volumes, there's more pages, so it takes you longer to read higher-level books. But if I stop, I can pick up at page 9 next time I start reading. So you're making progress, and that progress directly correlates to experience. So once I hit a threshold of, like, you know, I'm going to make it up like 30 pages or something, I might get a carpentry modifier, a skill boost modifier of, like, you know, leveling up. So there's a value of even reading a partial book. My character's getting a little bored, so I'm going to read a comic book before I read anything else. It's still raining, but before I do anything else, I'm going to check up on the water collection. Because if that soup pot is full, I might as well just start boiling it. Because it's been collecting rainwater all night long. Yep, it is totally full. It's the green remaining bar. So I can take this and I can sterilize it by putting it over a campfire or boiling it on a stovetop. I'll just stick it on this stove. It's also worth mentioning, don't leave your stoves on. Another use for boiling hot water is you can sterilize bandages. So I currently sterilized my bandages with alcohol, and there it is. Now it is potable water. Didn't take very long. Just boil it real quick. And then with this water, I can go to the water dispenser. So the water dispenser has 250 units of water available, and I can add, and this water pot is 25. So I can add some water from this water pot into the water dispenser, topping up the water dispenser. And then I can right-click on this and say, hey, pour into my water bottle as well. And then, even though it has extra water left in it, I don't have anywhere to put that water, so I'd rather just top it up with rainwater. It will recontaminate the water, but I can just boil it again just as easy. Alright, so the goal was to read more of this carpentry book, and I'm just going to fast forward time. And one thing you'll note is I am facing the stairwell, so that I can see if anything comes up for me. Oh, that's a thing. I hear a helicopter. let me get inside. Everything is happening very early in this, for me. So, once a game, you will have a helicopter that arrives, and if you are outside invisible, it will hover above your head and effectively torment you by drawing all the zombies to you for like an entire day. So I heard the helicopter off in the distance and immediately sprinted into my room that has no vision. So I'm hoping is that the helicopter did not spot me and is not hovering above me. Because there is a possibility that it spotted me and is hovering above me and drawing all the zombies in the neighborhood to this building here. Which would be spicy. I have ways out, however. One thing I could do is I could pull a sheet off one of the windows and smash out the window and tie it as a sheet rope to escape out one of these 6 windows here. So if zombies were like bashing in the door to get at me, I would still have a way out. So I'm not like trapped in this room, which is another reason to use this room. So there's a tropical storm coming in 5 days. And at the end of the radio broadcast, see how it says air activity detected? Air activity detected means helicopters here. So that actually plays to my advantage a little bit because I was planning on kind of reading all day long. So now I am not going to be leaving my base. I'm going to be reading anyway. There are sort of 3 ways to handle the helicopter. One is to be in a car that's really well fueled up and on the move. Because the helicopter will hover around you and draw zombies to you. But if you're on the move, you're just going to have a wake of zombies, right? You're not going to get swarmed. The other is to hide like I'm doing. It's probably the easiest as long as you know the helicopter's coming and it doesn't see you ahead of time. Because if it spots you, it's going to hover over the building that you're in. And it will sound louder. Like, if it spots you, it will sound like it's right over your head all the time. Because it is. And the third is just a fight. You know, that's definitely not for beginners. If you have... The helicopter for me, it came on day 6. It could come on day 21, right? Like, it can come late, too. So if I was at day 20, let's say, and I've cleared out and killed most of the zombies in Rosewood, it's not unreasonable necessarily to, like, just be outdoors with, like, a shotgun with a lot of shotgun rounds, letting the helicopter hover over your head and just killing all the zombies that come to mess with you. Because one of the things that it offers is it offers a lure to make sure that the surrounding area is very clear. That might be a little bit more difficult for new players, but there's definitely an advantage to use the noise of the helicopter in that way. Because trying to make that level of noise yourself as the player is a little challenging at times. You can get an emergency vehicle with sirens, or try to blast TVs or radios on loud. There are noisemakers that you can rig up, but the helicopter is free. It's free noise that you don't have to power up. You don't have to fuel up a car for. So every now and then it's useful. Hey Vinx, thank you for the raid. Road to Vostok. How is that? That's the kind of like Stalker, right? I saw that in my feed. How goes Zomboid? Well, we're indoors reading carpentry book because the chopper's overhead. How will I know when the helicopter goes away? It sticks around for a day, making multiple passes. So sometimes you'll audibly hear it go away, but it can still come back to make another pass. But by midnight tonight, it will be gone. So in the morning, it will be safe out. So the helicopter frequency is up to the server settings. So on multiplayer, unless the multiplayer server settings have been modified away from survival or apocalypse, you only get one chopper. And that's true of single player as well. So now that this chopper is gone, I will never get another chopper. It will never be an issue for me because I'm playing on default survival difficulty. was no real need to have the radio still going. It's like, yeah, I know that there's a chopper overhead. Getting a little bored. I am 203 out of 220. So here's the multiplayer that I was referring to. I'm almost done with the book. When I fully read the book, I will get a ×3 multiplier for my carpentry skill. Because I'm almost done with it, I'm not getting that full 3, but you can see the multiplier as 3 arrows there, letting me know that I'm leveling up quick. Let's stave off the boredness with a little comic book. In truth, there's not a lot of penalties to being depressed, bored, or sad or anything. It like makes some actions take a little bit longer, but it's really not that bad of a moodlet, all things considering. And carpentry level 1 is done. So I'm going to put it back on the bookshelf. And now that it is done, I am going to grab the VHS tape Exposure Survival, which, if I go over to the tracker here, you can see gives me 75 carpentry experience. So I am, now that I have the book fully read, going to watch the tape. That would be the correct order to do things. So right click on the TV, go to device options, stick the tape in, and actually there's an other tape in there. So take the dead wrong tape out. Again, dead wrong, as you can see, gives a little bit of aiming and reloading skill. So it gives a little bit of firearm skill. I have not watched it yet. I'm going to stick in the Exposure Survival tape and play it. Now, here's the thing. When you play a tape, each tape is blocked out into individual lessons. So just like a book, you can watch partial tapes. And the reason I mention that is some tapes will give you so much experience that you will run out of boosted XP. That might be a little confusing, so I will draw you a picture. Let's say that instead of my carpentry skill being level 0 with almost no experience, let's say I was almost level 2 already. I would want to play this tape and hover over the stop button, because the moment I hit level 2, I want to stop the tape. Then I want to read the next volume that is associated with the skill I'm trying to level up, and then return back to the tape. Because if you continue the tape, it's going to give you experience, but it won't be boosted from reading the books, and you can't get experience again from it. It's basically lost experience that you can't regain, because you can only watch a tape once for experience. So you might as well have the experience that you gain from tapes be as boosted as possible. So if we go over to the track here, there are tapes for cooking, there are tapes for carpentry, there are tapes for trapping, for fishing, for farming, for mechanics, and you're going to want to read those associated books before watching those tapes. There are rare tapes that are on the bottom of this list for things like first aid and tailoring and electrical and that kind of stuff, but they're way less likely for you to find them. Rare VHS tapes are very hard to find because they aren't in VHS stores. They are in people's homes. So to find those tapes, you have to go from home to home, which is dangerous, time-consuming, and there's no guarantee that you even find the tape. So of these tapes here, of the rare home tapes, I've only found a handful, like, ever, because they're so rare. Like, I found stock cars once, I found TV repair once. They're very, very rare. So you have to rely on a lot of luck. Whereas the retail VHS tapes that you can find at tape stores are pretty easy to find. Which is why in the tracker here, they're separated into 2 different categories. The tapes on the top are much easier to find than the tapes on bottom. It's not to say that you're going to find all of them, but if you went to every VHS store in Kentucky in the game, you would probably find at least one copy of each one. Probably. All right, so let's watch this now. It's also going to remove some boredom. But one thing to note is watch my carpenter skill as I watch this. It will be flying upwards. So there we go. The first chunk just gave me 37.5 experience. Oh, now I'm carpenter level 1. I gained 75 experience already because of the boost. Oh, there's another chunk. And another chunk. Stopping the tape. Turning off the TV. I've hit carpentry level 2 already. So the tape from the tracker is supposed to only give 75 experience. As you can see, exposure level, exposure survival episode 4 is 75 experience. But because I read the book, I get so much more experience from it as a result. So I've leveled all of my carpentry level 1 and level 2 all the way through. So now the benefit of that is this. I can remove floor tiles, meaning that I can remove the way that zombies reach me on this second floor. I don't want to do that quite yet because I need a way for me to get up and down because I've removed the floor tiles and then fall. I'm not getting back up for a long time. That would suck. So that will be my next goal, which is going to be done tomorrow. But my next goal will be secure the second floor of the food mart base. Meaning sheet ropes and alternate paths up and down. I don't see any broken windows, so that means that the chopper was not hovering over me. If it was, like, a ton of the front window storefront would be busted to hell. So that's good. Could also watch Dead Wrong. What do I want to eat? You know what? I'm going to make some soup. I'm going to make, like lettuce, onion. I don't have the cookbook read, but whatever. And potato soup. Yeah, let's add leeks too. So one easy way to do this is to, and your character doesn't care, defrost them in the microwave. I know, nightmare, right? That I'm defrosting a microwave. I'm grabbing the cooking pot that got topped up with all the rainwater. This is still frozen. Let's go ahead and sterilize this water, even though it's going to be involved in the soup. Actually, that there we go. So all of my soup ingredients are all set. Do I have, I have hot sauce. I'll try to add hot sauce. I don't know if it's a valid recipe item, but whatever. All right, cooking pot with water. And I can right-click this and say, create stew or soup. So I'm going to create a stew. I'm using the cleaver, I'm guessing. I'm using the cleaver to chop up the items. So I'm adding potato and leek. Yeah, let's add some milk. I don't know how this milk isn't frozen through magic. So a little bit about cooking is that adding the same ingredient over and over and over again makes the recipe boring. So you should only add up to 3 of one ingredient, meaning like 3 individual potato, like 3 adding potatoes or 3 adding, you know, whatever ingredient, milk or whatever. Because if you add more than that, it becomes a boring food. But the cooking system allows you to really play with it and kind of do whatever you want, making weird foods. It doesn't really matter. The combinations don't matter. It's just like you can have stir fries, you can have soups, you can have stews. It's just a general recipe that you can just add whatever you want to it. So this is like a potato leek and milk stew. Sounds super weird, but because I didn't add ingredients more than 3 times, or add anything that would necessarily be depressing, like a rat or a cricket or something like that, this removes unhappiness. It removes a lot of thirst because I added milk, and then hunger. Also, don't burn your food. So when it's ready, pull it off. Because the cooking meter will go up, and then the burning meter goes up. And once it's burned, it's depressing again. There we go. And then for this stew, I'm going to split it up into 2 bowls. So I'm walking over to the shelf with the bowls. I can right-click on this and say, make 2 bowls of stew. And the advantage of this is now I have 2 bowls of stew that fulfill hunger, thirst, unhappiness, etc. I can put one of the bowls in the fridge for later. And then I can eat the other bowl and put the cooking pot back outside to collect more rainwater. Because I know it's going to be pretty rainy in the next 5 days, culminating to like a tropical storm. And there we go. First real recipe that I ever made. Wouldn't say it was wonderful, but it got the job done. So I'm going to be doing the base security in the morning. But I think there's probably a benefit because of a lot of the security is going to involve carpenter skill for me to read another volume of carpentry so that I benefit from all of the carpentry that I'm going to be doing. So let me update that priority. Read Vol 2 carpentry, then secure the base. Because I'm pretty safe in this base now. Like, I'm not worried about being overrun or anything. So there's not a real sense of urgency of like, oh, I got to secure the base right now or I'll die, right? Like, I don't feel that way. I don't think I'm going to just like get overrun and die. So there isn't a need for me to lose out on very valuable experience doing the work I want to set out to do. I might as well get as much experience from my efforts as possible. Right, Ray? Also, now that the chopper has hit me, I don't really... Oh, there's a zombie out there. I don't really need to worry so much about listening to the radio, because the radio will just tell me when I'm going to lose power and water. I've already lost water, so I will lose power at some point. It will be very obvious because all the lights will turn off, obviously. And I'm just fast forwarding time reading up here. So you can see as I fast forward time, the zombies around just they wander. They're not static. They wander about. I got a little hungry, and back to the books. There are more water storing options than coolers and bottles, and we'll get into that once my carpentry skill is appropriately leveled up. So the big one, if you right-click anywhere, there's a carpentry submenu, is rain collector barrels. Rain collector barrels will collect rainwater, and you can use them to plumb to sinks, showers, etc., washing machines, so that you have running water after the water gets shut off. But they do require that your carpentry skill is at least level 4. And then they also require planks of wood, nails, and garbage bags. So that is definitely the way to prepare for losing water when you want running water. But I don't have the carpentry skill for it yet, so there's no point in me going into the details until I'm actually building it. Otherwise, it's just confusing and unnecessary. Thank you for tuning in to Rad's Guide to Project Zomboid, which originally streamed live on Twitch April 4th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow survivors.